The signal was always there, hidden in static, buried in fragments, in usernames, whispers, metadata. Old forum posts, deleted tweets, dark web echoes, and the stories people thought nobody would ever find. Before hashtags became headlines, before open source intelligence became a buzzword, two women were already living it. One came from military intelligence, Arabic linguist, warfighter support, CIA, DIA, innovation labs built before the world understood why they mattered. Kirby Plesses, founder, builder, teacher, operator. A service disabled veteran who turned intelligence tradecraft into a global classroom. More than 25,000 investigators trained, FBI, DEA, federal agencies, corporate teams, analysts chasing fraud, criminal networks, terrorist financing, human trafficking, cryptocurrency trails, and digital ghosts hiding in plain sight. From South by Southwest stages to international crime conferences, Kirby helped shape modern OSINT before most people could even define it. And while the internet evolved, she kept teaching people how to see through it. Then there's Sarah Wommer, researcher, instructor, analyst, editor, OSINT practitioner for more than 2 decades. Long before social media dominated the battlefield, Sarah was studying how extremists would weaponize online platforms. In 2008, she authored reports projecting terrorist use of Twitter before the rest of the world caught up. Fort Huachuca, the 3 or 4th Military Intelligence Battalion, training soldiers, building curricula, publishing operational intelligence products, teaching analysts how to think, not just what to search. Baghdad during the invasion of Iraq, Riyadh, the State Department after September 11th, counter disinformation, counter extremism, hostile propaganda analysis, a career spent decoding influence narratives and the psychology behind information warfare, and somehow through all of it, still making time for rescue hounds and laughter yoga. Different paths, same mission, to understand the world through the evidence people leave behind. Together they became OSINT IRL. Not just a show, not just a podcast, a conversation between practitioners, a place where tradecraft meets humanity, where investigators, analysts, journalists, researchers, and curious minds pull back the curtain on the digital world we all live inside. This is about more than tools. It's about intuition, pattern recognition, curiosity, context, the art of seeing what others miss. Because the internet never forgets, and neither do they. Welcome to OSINT IRL.
Hey, Sarah.
Hi, Kirby. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? Do you like our new intro?
It's very catchy.
It's long. It's a little long, but I thought we need to introduce people to who we are. We're not just 2 random women talking on the internet, although we are still 2 random women talking on the internet, but we have a little bit of background.
Yes.
So anyway, today we are talking about deepfake identities and cybercrime inside Operation Specular. And when we're talking about Operation Specular, I think that might be something that the AI helped make up as far as a word goes. But the operation has to do with the arrest of Chen Ji, scam sender kingpin from Cambodia, right? And we really are going to talk quite a bit about not just that arrest, but the whole Cambodian infrastructure of scam, headquarters as a whole. And so I want to point out that this happened in January of 2026 when they arrested him. But also, I do want to also highlight Aaron West and her Operation Shamrock. She's got a bunch of videos here on YouTube where you can go and check out where she's like actually out there videoing some of these scam compounds. She's really working on trying to shut this stuff down as well. Sarah, you're going to share the documents we have for us.
Yes, yes. And I just wanted to mention on the Erin West thing that I really think that her work on this topic is outstanding. So, okay. So the first thing is we're going to share is just first I have to share my screen. So this is a U.S. government document on that discusses about protecting Americans from China-linked scam centers, and it's an overview on the emerging trends or the threat. And Kirby, would you like to extend on that?
I mean, I don't want to extend on it too much. This is just the U.S. DOJ, I believe.
Yep. Yeah. And I think this is really important because actually this is such a huge issue, is having these linked scam centers. And I mean, there's so many different facets of it, including the reach to people in the United States, but also you have the whole aspect of human trafficking going on. And a lot of the people working on the scam centers are doing so against their will, which I know that this mentions as well at some point. So
Absolutely.
The next thing I was going to share is just a second here. This is a short showing the arrest.
Okay, so do you see you have it shared, but you haven't put it on at the stage. So I'm going to add it to stage.
The transnational crime and gambling syndicate. The US and UK alleged that Chen Zhi oversaw a network of scam compounds that enslaved workers and stole from many across the world. He lived a high life before his arrest, rubbing shoulders with Cambodia's political elite and throwing opulent super yacht parties. But things unraveled for him when the geopolitical tides shifted. Thailand justified its recent border conflict with Cambodia in part as a war against scammers. The US and China were also tired of scammers stealing from their citizens. That meant that pressure was mounting on Cambodia to clamp down on such syndicates. So Chen's protectors finally turned on him, leading to his dramatic capture. Chen has denied any involvement in scams or criminal activity before that. One alleged ringleader may have been caught, but it's not so easy to stop these scams. My colleague's reporting shows that it all comes down to how lucrative the industry can be.
At its core, scamming is a relatively cheap, proven business model. The centres are inexpensive to set up in poor countries. They require little more than computers, laptops, mobile phones, and SIM cards. The gangs that run the centres rely on traffic labour, people who work very long hours, 7 days a week, running many scams at once. AI will make it even more cost-effective. Then you factor in geopolitical tensions that will make it harder for countries to coordinate with one another. Experts say there are often powerful vested interests in these countries who profit from the presence of these scam centres. So they see these latest crackdowns like Chen's arrest as a disruption, not an eradication.
In general,
Okay, so that was coming from Bloomberg. We just have to make sure that we're careful not to share too much. We want people to go visit the links and not necessarily have Bloomberg upset at us for sharing.
Right. So the next thing is we are going to share a link on the downfall of China's Chen Zhi, leader of Cambodia's scam compounds. That's another article that we have as well. We can put both of those in the show notes.
They are in the show notes.
Okay, so people have a reference of them if they want to read the background for both of those news stories.
Yep, and it should be in all the show notes already. So I'm learning things. I've learned how when I set up to pre-announce that we're going to have a video to put the show notes already in there. So all of the links that we were going to cover are in there, as well as well, actually, I'm not sure if the show notes made it for this one, but anyway,
Right.
the links will be available.
We do have one Instagram link though that we would like to share. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so you got to hit the share on stage.
Oh. Sure.
Add on stage. So you uploaded it, and then when you hover above it in the menu below, it says add to stage. No?
No.
Okay, well, I'll add it then. There we go.
Sorry.
That's okay. No audio though.
No.
We don't have any audio.
This is very I don't know why there's okay. Well.
No audio.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No.
it's about voice cloning and how it only takes seconds to voice clone, right?
Yes. Yes.
And we know that because we actually have a subscription to 11 Labs, which is one of the major corporate voice cloning tools. And it's amazing. And why do we have a subscription to that? Well, one, we do want to learn about all this stuff. But the main reason that we have it is it lets us save our voices in some cases when we have long material that we need to put together in a course or something like that. But it doesn't take much. Right? I mean, to do a perfect voice clone, it wants an hour or so, but you could do something. And this video that we have says 3 seconds. I think if I'm correct, 11 Labs wants 10 seconds worth of somebody's voice for a quick clone.
For a quick clone.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to do it more professionally, then you have to add some additional clips.
Right.
So.
Right. And so like, for example, if you want your own voice cloned completely, or if you want, I guess, if you're doing it for malicious purposes, somebody else's, you need over an hour of content. So let's talk about these scammers. So, I mean, a lot of times they'll use one of these clones. They'll use face clones. They'll use tools that when they're moving, the face is as of whoever their pig butchering person is, their persona, which could be like a romance persona, or it could be somebody trying to convince them to that they are, an executive for a major cryptocurrency company or something like that. There's a lot of different plans out there. I think also of interest is that these plans, you can go out and buy them on the internet. Sarah, I believe you've got the questions this week. So if you want to go ahead and start, we'll start.
I sure do. Before I get to the questions, I was just going to add on to what you were just saying. One of the which we discussed in there earlier, OSINT IRL, was there's a lot of scams online on YouTube where people have cloned the voices of real estate agents for apartments, like in New York City, or So
they'll take it off their ad, they'll clone them, say, okay, hey, I've got a place to show you, or I've got whatever. And they can say, well, go and watch my YouTube video. It's me. You can tell from my voice or something like that. And the person will go and say, okay, yeah, I really was talking to that person, and maybe I can rent this apartment. And then they pay the deposit, and then that person disappears.
Right. Disappears with the deposit.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so we're going to start with some questions related specifically to the case. And so the first one is framing, really related to framing the case, is what makes these operations important case studies for modern OSINT or social media intelligence investigations?
Yeah, so my thought on this is that if you take any of these cases where things have already been busted, you can like do a little bit of a postmortem on the case, you can identify where the OSINT opportunities are, right? So if a lot of times it's going to be well after the case. So in this case, this just happened in January 2026. We may not know all of the OSINT keys for this until it goes through some kind of courts, and it's in China. He's arrested in China. So I think if we're lucky, we might get the US side of it publicized, but we might never see like the full case information in China. But there are some postmortems already written out there about this. Like, for example, the one that we were showing, like kind of Bloomberg has a video that goes to it. The DOJ has some articles on it. So you might be able to see some of it. This is going to give us a little bit of a hint on how this case was taken down. Maybe it can be used toward other cases that we have. Or you may actually see, in the postmortem, something that wasn't used but could have been used had they had maybe a tip about it a little bit earlier, and something where maybe instead of a tip, you're just going to kind of go down that sort of lane. And that could be social media, whatever. Sarah, do you have any thoughts on it?
Well, I think I absolutely what you said. I think also the way that he structured his scam system is very similar to other scammers. So by looking at the case study of how it was structured, that would give insights or into how other ones are being run, where you could look at it and say, okay, this is a tell, from this case, and you look at the different attributes of the tells of what made it a scam, and then this, tick it off on the next one. It has
Right.
this and this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and actually there was just today, which maybe it'll end up being one we cover, maybe not, that CoffeeZilla released a new video. And as soon as he releases something, I watch it, because he does give a lot of the background behind how he's identifying these sort of things. But what he did was he had a case given to him by another investigative reporter, and it happened to be a Ponzi scheme scam, right? So he kind of walked through everything that he had to do with it. But what it did to me was it fired off some memory of a Ponzi scheme that I know about, that I know a victim of, that I have not been able to take to any kind of finish line with it. But maybe going back to the original reporter who, tipped off CoffeeZilla on this one, maybe that person would be willing to kind of jump in on this one as well. Nobody else seems to want to take it. And it's a very international, I imagine that somebody's working it somewhere, hopefully, but as far as I know, I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, it's just like one breakdown can trigger thoughts on how to take care of another case that you're already working on. So it's really important to read and to understand how some of these cases came down. And that's one of our points here. We are shifting a little bit more to covering cases instead of just topics. So you'll see us cover a case, and maybe it's similar to a case you're doing. You're going to see what we think about as far as the OSINT that goes into it.
Absolutely. I think the other part of it is if you flip it to the red teaming side of it, a lot of times the criminal enterprise or the model, most criminals aren't recreating their own new model. They're a lot of times borrowing from somebody else. So it would have a lot of cross similarities to other criminal activities.
Right. In the way that they, and again, going back to the CoffeeZilla video, the person that he had done the investigation on, he had seen was active in other Ponzi schemes, ones that person didn't own at that time. So he learned it in one way, and then he started using it. And then we also see, just scams, the whole scam lined out and for sale on Telegram in some cases. So, there's different ways that they learn, and they're going to be in the same patterns.
Mm-hmm. So the second question I have is, how does this case show the evolution of specifically romance scams from stolen profile catfishing to AI-generated identities and deepfake manipulation?
I think that you can compare it to farming. Okay, so now stick with me here. Farms used to be one family ran the farm. They did everything, right? And then a lot of these corporations started buying up all these farms or incorporating them into, not necessarily even purchasing the whole farm, but incorporating them into a process. And so now there's an industry, right? So now this is the same thing we're seeing here with these scams. There's an industry here. And rather than just stealing somebody's picture off the internet where that can be easily reverse searched, they now can create these AI generated ones where there's a whole industry of creating the AI person, maybe the persona. I don't know how far they go into the persona, in some cases, but they may have several different pictures of this person and a way to make this video, a live video of this person, a voice for this person so that they can keep it consistent across, or consistent enough, right? Because that's all they need is consistent enough. Before Sora went down, I was able to see a lot of people building commercials and that sort of thing on Sora. But what I mean by that is if you were using Sora for free, you could create the videos and publish them and then use these scraper tools to scrape the Sora watermark off of them and use them as your own video. And I could see people making ads and making like testimonials and things like that. If you were paying for a higher level of Sora at that time, you could make the videos in your drafts and save them there without the watermarks. So I don't know how many of these would probably be even made with Sora. Yeah, there's other tools that make these videos, but Sora was doing so well with the audio with them that it was kind of, it was really amazing. And playing around with a whole bunch of other tools, I don't know a single tool that was doing as well as Sora was. Sora's API is still going until September. They're going to, it's somehow going to show up in ChatGPT or OpenAI's content somewhere. So this is not going away. And these other tools are going to catch up. So, you know, I mean, somebody could have build the AI and then make their 11 Labs audio to it, but people are still making, you know, the Sora style ones.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Kirby, we actually do have an audience member. So I just wanted to do a shout out and say hi, Andrea.
Oh, we love you, Andrea. She knows some AI. If there's somebody who knows AI, this is Andrea. Yeah.
So, okay, so the next question I have is, why are scam center cases different from lone actor online fraud cases from an intelligence gathering perspective?
Okay, because again of this industrialization. So there are still going to be these like lone wolf, lone actor online fraud guys. They're still, people want money. They're going to like, okay, I can, you know, pretend that I'm so-and-so. But these things are industrialized. They are set up. They've got staff, and a lot of these staff can't leave. These are the other victims of the scam, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But it isn't somebody kind of testing and trying and not showing, not knowing exactly what's going to work, or maybe just buying something off of Telegram and just testing it to see if it works. These guys have it operationalized. They've got scripts. They've got methodologies. They can do A and B testing at these big compounds, right? They can say, here's my 5 different versions of the scam, which one's working the best? All right, then we'll just knock these other ones off, save time and money by just working with the best scripts and that sort of thing.
Right. And I also wanted to add something to kind of as an addition to this question, is that if it is a lone wolf and you're talking to the scammer on the phone, then that person, you know, they're their own actor. But because so many of these people are trafficked, if you're being mean to this scammer, you might actually be being mean to human trafficking victim.
So your point of view, okay.
And I wanted to add another thing to that, is in talking to them, you're also giving them your voice, which can be recorded for additional scamming.
So now you're specifically talking to the people who like to do the scam baiting. You're not talking to like a normal victim. So what she's saying, that if you're talking to somebody who's scamming you and it's a lone wolf, then they're a creep, and you can scam bait them and be as mean as you want to them or whatever, right? I still think that it's not necessarily wise to do so, because some of these people, there are ways they can reach out and do something to you. There are ways, but there's a lot of people who are scam baiting, especially here on YouTube, where they play with them. But like she's saying, now the point is that sometimes if they're in like one of these big industrial complexes, and these used to be like, you find ones in India where the people were getting paid and they were scamming, but it's still kind of sort of their choice, not necessarily. But these Cambodian complexes, and even more and more of the ones even in India or wherever else, it's not really their choice. They are human traffic victims. So you're being mean to them, whatever. They're getting mad at you because they're not making their quotas. And they know that they're going to get in trouble for not making their quotas, or something's going to be taken away. And they don't really have a choice to like quit and then go get another job at McDonald's. They don't have that choice, right? A lone wolf in the United States probably has that choice, but that's not necessarily the people you're going to be running across when you are scam baiting now.
Right. And there isn't any like right now that I know of any identifiable phrase or symbol or that they can say that would indicate, hey, I'm a victim, come help me. So
right. And that would probably be found out as well if they did.
Right.
Although it's still worth trying to figure out a way.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. So
Next question is, how should OSINT analysts think about the connection between cyber fraud, human trafficking, which we were just talking about, forced labor compounds, and organized crime?
think about them as every other kind of crime that's out there. There's going to be an organization. There's going to be victims. There's going to be traces of an organization. Just think of them as any other organized crime. You have your scam compounds. Maybe they're using mules in the United States or something like that. That would be the same kind of setup, maybe, as a drug trafficking organization with a seller, right? They might have a mule or something as well. So just think of it, the way that these compounds work. There still has to be a some way for products to get to the person. Bitcoin, okay, so it's not like transferring drugs where the products are physical, but you still have the victim who has to either be educated on how to get them Bitcoin, and then there's still a pathway. There's the taking them to the Bitcoin ATM and things like that. And I can't remember where I heard this, but I just watched a video that somehow like 90% of traffic to Bitcoin ATMs are for illicit reasons. I don't know if that's true or not, so don't quote me on that. But I did hear somebody say that, and I was like, okay. I mean, I don't purposely go to those as well. Andrea says that Myanmar is super bad as well.
Yeah.
As far as for those kind of compounds. Yeah. And even though we're talking about Myanmar and Cambodia and places, this is a lot of times organized crime coming out of China. Like the bigwigs, maybe Chinese triads, or who knows, they might be United States mobsters, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But
yeah. On the Bitcoin stat, I don't know how accurate it is, like as far as like, how they did
we're talking about the ATMs.
On the ATMs. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know how that was done either.
But there's a movement by some cities to actually shut down the Bitcoin ATMs.
And that might be where that came from. I might have seen that like in conjunction with lobbying, purposes to shut them down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do I think Bitcoin ATMs should be shut down? I don't necessarily think they need to be shut down, but I think there should be some. There definitely needs to be some sort of control so that the victims can be identified when they are going and using the ATM to send money to, a fraudster.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. So the next question is, what does the Shinzi case suggest about the scale and industrialization of online scam operations in Southeast Asia?
And again, I still think that that we've been basically answering this question is just that it's industrialized, that there's whole city-sized compounds there. And again, just watch Aaron West's videos and you will see that in action. You'll see them being built.
Oh, Andrea said NGO outreach.
Oh, yeah, definitely NGO outreach to help the human trafficking aspect of it for sure.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So. Okay, so moving on to his use of AI for fake personas, whether it's a facial persona or whether it's a voice persona. First question is, what SOCMINT indicators might reveal that a romance scam persona is synthetic rather than a real person?
Okay, so how to tell if one's AI created? I mean, when you say synthetic personas, a lot of times that doesn't necessarily mean AI, but we're talking that we want to say like, okay, how can I identify if somebody's trying to do a scam against me and it's something that I want not to be a scam. I want to communicate with this person, but how can I identify whether this is an AI or not? And the first thing is, where else are they online? There's very few people who don't have some kind of an online footprint. AI ones have a little bit less, right? So maybe you'll find that your AI online footprint is just the account that's talking to you and like one Twitter account, or maybe they did make a whole persona for the person, but their whole persona all just showed up within the last 2 months. Their Facebook account is only 2 months old. Their Twitter account's only so many months old. Their Instagram account's only so many months old. Where's the younger version of this person? Where's this person's family? Where's this person's friends group? Where are they communicating with anybody like repeatedly in some of these other social medias that have shown up? So you can identify like how long this person's accounts have been in existence. If I wanted to, for example, if I just made a brand new Facebook, maybe Facebook shuts down my account and I'm like, well, I got to get on there. I got to communicate with my family. So I get a new Facebook account, I make a new one. So it's only 2 months old. That's still, you should be able to see that I'm communicating with people who have older Facebook accounts, right? So you see that somebody says, beautiful picture on my profile picture, and they go to their account and their account has existed since 2008. Okay, maybe if that appears to be a family member, something like that, that gives me a tie that tells me that person's probably real, right? But again, there's usually going to be some sort of history. What do you think, Sarah?
I think that can be like something that you would look at as far as like a factor of the possibility that it's fake. I did get actually not tricked, but I was very surprised. Somebody reached out to me on a Facebook invitation not too long ago, and I thought it was a fake account because they didn't have a long history like what you were talking about, and also their face was very unique to the point where their face actually looked like it was partially artificially generated, but it wasn't. It was a disfiguration from an injury. And so what happened with that was I was actually able to find some of that person's instructive YouTube videos eventually to confirm that it was real.
That's what I'm saying. That person on the internet.
It was really, really obscure. I was lucky that I found it, but my initial reaction was, oh, this is a fake persona. It was actually a real person. And I think it's getting increasingly more difficult to figure out when it's real and when it's fake. And I think that a lot of the AI detection tools that are out there, they will say, 99% reliability. A lot of them don't have 99% reliability because there's still flaws where you can hack the system. So, yeah. So I think what you said are very good indicators, and I think that you have to kind of look at it holistically, as you said, and combine it with other things.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is how useful are reverse image searches when scammers are no longer stealing real people photos?
Yeah, so I still think that they're useful, and the reason that I think that is because you may find, first of all, most of the reverse image search tools don't only do exact matches; they do similars as well, right? So what you might find is your AI romance person actually under a different name romance scamming somebody else with other pictures of that person, right? So that's one reason that it might be useful. Yes, the romance scammers can make a different scam profile to get at everybody, but we're all humans, we're all lazy, right? So they get one that seems to be working, they might reuse that person over and over and over again, just change their name up a little bit. So reverse can still work, but to help you find more cases of them, but if they're doing AI, you're not going to find like the real person anymore, which actually I think is really good, because the real person, that's another victim.
It is another victim, and it's kind of a mix on that one, because you can't confirm it theoretically by reaching out to that real person, but if you do that, you could be infringing on the person's PII, by researching how to get a hold of them in the first place to confirm, oh, is this you? Depending on how their information is out there, in what country you're in. In the United States, it's not such a big deal. Whereas if you're in a GDPR country, there's a certain level where you just don't drill down. So, but yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I still think that if you find somebody using a picture like of me or whatever, that I think that in most cases, reaching out to that person, getting their PII to reach out to them is different than getting their PII to put on the internet somewhere.
Okay.
So I don't think that that's like an infringement.
So I guess in that case, if they get angry at you, you can say, "Oops, my bad."
I don't see how they'd get angry at you though. They'd be like, oh, so like they probably already heard because people have already sent them the stuff, and they're probably like, yeah, sorry, it's not me. I'm not going to be paying you money back that you got lost to this person or whatever. But yeah, I'd rather the scammers use AI for sure.
Yep. So, and it's a lot easier to drill down when it's a person they've stolen.
Andrew's given us some research projects. So Polaris project, direct response. So this is sounds like it is, and if you want to, you can click through and get that, Sarah, but it probably how to report this stuff in. And then let's see. Andrea's also given us another one, a21.org, report now. And again, you can report some of this content in. Thank you, Andrea. We appreciate you. And
we will add that to the show notes for sure. So, and we'll check it out. So the next one is, what role should metadata analysis play when examining profile photos, marketing images, or scam content?
So
yes.
I don't know about you, but I still think that metadata is important. We're not seeing as much cell phone metadata out there on the internet as we used to. And that was always just a little bit of gold when you could get some cell phone metadata, but we're not seeing that, but that's fine because that's, you're more private if your cell phone metadata is not out there. But this AI has its own metadata. So if you can get the raw metadata off of some AI photo, there is metadata in there. And a lot of times it identifies what AI tool has created that photo or, media. They don't have to, and you can create your own AI tool and you can tell it not to, basically. But it's still going to be different than AI metadata that comes off of a phone. And in some cases, some AI tools are actually putting the metadata into the image. So for example, SynthID is something that Gemini puts inside its images. It's not a watermark that we can see, but there's a watermark in the image so that even if you delete the metadata, you screenshot the Gemini image and use it somewhere else, anything that can tell that SynthID, which is Gemini itself and some other tools, can identify that was made with Gemini. I'm actually kind of hoping that most of the major big ones are going to add that as well. Same sort of thing where you have some kind of, to the human eye, invisible watermark, but it is there and visible in the image. Of course, there's always counter, watermark tools. I'm pretty sure there's probably some anti-SynthID tools that will remove SynthID from your Gemini images somewhere. Mm-hmm. Google, you'll probably find them. I'm not looking for that right now, but yeah. It's just, it's always kind of a constant battle. Sarah.
Well, I was also thinking, as far as like adversarial LLMs, I mean, there was Dark Bart or Evil Bart, and there's been a couple of other ones. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, somebody could make an LLM that would put synthetic metadata into the image.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, you mean like make it look like a cell phone?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you can do that yourself manually as well, but the thing is, the perfectionism of it you can probably, fight it a little bit with that. Like, does everything make sense sort of thing? Right. Yes, it can be done, but can it be done well is the question. And as we know, AI is getting better and better at everything, but there's still a lot of things it doesn't do really, really well. And so that could easily be something that gets messed up too. And as a human looking at the metadata, you're seeing things that make sense to you, but there's a lot of metadata in these images, and AI just needs to mess up a few things, and it will not look like a cell phone to a machine anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then the next question is, what are the risks of relying too heavily on a single OSINT technique, such as reverse image search and synthetic identity investigations? I think we partially answered this one, but do you have anything that you want to expound on?
Sure. So when we're talking about just using one OSINT technique for anything is not usually wise. The whole reason why OSINT is such a huge field, and that is because it all kind of backs up itself. It's like as if, like listening to somebody's alibi and then you don't check it out, right? You've still got to go check that part out. So if you reverse image search and you don't find anything, so you think, okay, well, he's not using a fake image, or maybe you're thinking too much on the other side. He is using an AI image, whatever. There's a lot of other things that you could have checked out to like corroborate the information you're already finding and or prove it wrong. So, I mean, that could be using the name, using the email address they're using their username they're using, looking for family members, looking at all these other little bits of data that they give you. You can pivot on almost everything the scammer gives you. So, for example, there's a lot of scammers out there. They'll tell you where they live or what they're doing. They're like a lot of the romance scammers. They are U.S. military in Syria doing some kind. They're a doctor in the military. They're doing this or whatever. And so you can start, looking to see if that makes sense, right? And you can actually go ahead and use AI to ask if these things make sense, knowing that AI is going to try to make you happy, right? So maybe I shouldn't have you use AI to ask if it makes sense, but you can use that to get you sources as well to identify whether things make sense.
I think that we're looking at things like making sense. I mean, if somebody is U.S. military in Syria, they're not going to be doing a romance outreach and say, "Hey, I'm in Syria."
Right. That's what the scammers all say. They're like, they want them to be in danger, unreachable, but also in a high position. And, so it's like, oh yeah, if they're in Syria, they're in danger right now. And if they need money right now, I probably should give it to them. They're trying to like make that sense of urgency.
And I saw a lot of those kinds of posts actually on, not with the U.S. military, but in a refugee situation at one point on Blue Sky. Where you were having a lot of people posting up, asking for money and saying, I'm a refugee in this location. And one or two were probably actually refugees, but a lot of them, once you looked into it, researched it, were not.
That's one of the things I think that I saw people making on Sora. They had women crying in refugee camps. That's what the whole thing was like. It's like a woman crying. And that's what the Sora video was. And there were so many of them. I'm like, oh, this is like one user would be making like 20 of them a day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the next question is, oh, I'm sorry, what?
Sora was so fun. I miss it already.
At some point there will be something else. So yeah. How do social media posting patterns, account age, follower networks, engagement quality, and linguistic style help distinguish authentic users from scam personas?
Again, this is just going back to whether they have a network, the age of their accounts, that kind of stuff. So it kind of goes back to something we've already said. We didn't really go into the linguistic style though. And so the linguistic style could be something where things seem obviously AI generated, right? Because a lot of times there'll be a different language than what the scammers' native languages. And so now it's so easy just to throw that into AI and have AI create some, write me this kind of information in, Italian or whatever whoever they're scamming at the time, and have that come out. But sometimes the AI stuff doesn't seem very personal, or maybe too personal. Right. I don't know, but it can do a little bit of analysis with that, I imagine.
Yeah, I noticed that with some of the linguistic style that with the AI is when they use the translating tool in the AI, is a lot of times will come across funny, especially if it's like from Russian. And an AI translating tool is used to say it into English. A lot of times you'll see like a linguistic abnormality, like something will be backwards, or it would be how we wouldn't say it normally.
Right, but like the smart scammers could tell the AI to make it culturally correct and give it a. If they're smart, then say like give it a Michigan kind of, point of view to it or whatever. So they reference things that, but
yeah. So on deepfakes and face swapping, how can Telegram channels advertising deepfake or face swap services become intelligence sources? And this is actually important because in this specific case, Telegram was such a large factor in the court case.
Yeah. So there are a lot of Telegram channels where scammers are, teaching other scammers how to do it, right? And or doing the face swap stuff. And so every bit of a person of like one of these Telegram scammers or scam teachers or whatever, every single bit of them is a pivot point as well, whether it's a username or a Bitcoin address or a Discord reference or whatever it is, all the stuff. The download links, that's a way to pivot on it, because you can go check out the domain that they're downloading, the actual link itself, where that link is shared. So it goes beyond, okay, here's download my, your kit. You go to download your kit. Is that domain just like some random thing where anybody can share content, or do they own it? Is the whole URL, when you download the kit, you've got a lot of forensics you can do against that, but also just that whole link itself. Where else are they sharing that link? Where else are they sharing? Who's the user? If it is something like a Dropbox or another kind of just like bucket, what's the username of the person who owns that bucket? Does it match the username of the Telegram person who's selling it? Can you pivot further on that? There's a lot of things you can do from a Telegram account, and especially these guys who are selling content to either create the fake personas, to create the whole scam scripts, that sort of thing. They're selling to multiple people as well, so you can get in maybe to multiple different scams, and also learning their script, figuring out who else is using that same script. It can go down to linguistics as well again.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good point. What evidence might analysts collect from Telegram, specifically as like an add-on to that? Like, for example, usernames, or what other things would you want to collect?
I think I kind of answered that in this one.
All right. So I think the big thing also though, to add to that is when you are collecting evidence, and again, we can do a plug-in for Forensic OSINT, who is one of our sponsors, is when you are doing these kind of investigations and you are collecting that evidence, is to make sure that you actually collect it in real time, because if you go back, it might not be there. Forensic OSINT is a tool that you can use that does do that. And Andrea said, "I'm a widow."
I don't know why Andrea's a widow, but okay.
Okay. So, hi Andrea. So, okay. So, the other thing though, if you can't afford to pay for a software package or a tool like Forensic OSINT, is one of the things that Kirby has mentioned before is to do what, Kirby?
I'm sorry, I got lost on the widow comment. If Andrea is a widow, a lot of times widows are the people who they target. And so that might be what she's kind of going into.
Oh.
Andrea says, I'm a widow. And so she might know a lot about these scams because she might get a whole bunch of them. I was just actually thinking about this because I know that they go through obituaries to look for and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
Andrea, is that what you meant on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll see if she responds. So, but yeah, that's a good point, Kirby and Andrea. Yeah. So, okay, so back to the preserving evidence. If you can't have like a platform or a tool to preserve your evidence, you can do it manually. Kirby actually teaches a webinar on how to do it manually by doing what, Kirby?
Oh, by hashing your evidence? Yeah. So if you have to take the screenshots and that sort of thing, you can. There's a lot of tools to hash evidence. You do not need to go out and find a tool. You can actually go and in your operating system. Just create a file that lets you hash, and you can batch hash all together all at once. So yeah, and so here's one. What if someone created your personality training model, not used deepfake?
Well, I mean, I think we already see that to a degree with scams with the voice voice cloning or voice copying. So
and you know, so Najib, so for example, if you happen to be a pretty handsome 45-year-old man, chances are, if you have some pictures online, somebody's probably stealing them and using them to romance scam somebody. Vice versa, women, you know, like maybe a little bit younger on the women's side. But people are still stealing those and trying to, you know, maybe. And so you're saying with the personality training model, are you thinking like AI, not necessarily deepfake, but training on somebody's exact personality?
Yeah, so and actually ChatGPT already does this to a degree, and as do some of the other LLMs, is you can ask a model to write in your style or to answer a question with your personality. So
or someone else's.
I think or somebody else's. So Najib, I think that's an excellent point, and I think that is one that is depending on how good the LLM is or how good the model is, you know, that would be hard to defeat as far as scam identification. But I do think if you look at it with what Kirby said earlier, is to look at these things holistically and to kind of have a zero trust kind of perspective, where you're adding it to all the other elements to get a bigger picture. Then hopefully you would have more indicators that is a scam.
We're the zero trust people, though, and I'd say that the main population of the world is not a zero trust person.
I know, and I'm probably more zero trust than many.
Yeah, Najib says, as a deepfake judgment algorithm does not detect such images. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The anti-AI judgment algorithms in general, they're fighting the same battle everybody else is, where AI is getting better that they can't even detect themselves, or else they detect things wrong.
Right. Well, and I think that's one of the reasons also that AI cannot replace us. I mean, you have to have human analysis to go along with that AI, and then unregulated. We have another. Do we have another comment?
That's spam.
Okay. Okay, so the next question is, how should investigators preserve Telegram evidence given that channels, usernames, and posts can disappear quickly? And I think we just answered that with the hashing and with the forensic OSINT. So the next one is, how might scam groups market AI tools internally and not necessarily Telegram?
Internally to their own selves? You mean like within one compound, or what do you mean?
Within clusters, like within clusters. So how might scam groups market AI tools internally as productivity tools, deception tools, or recruitment tools? I think I've seen there's a little bit of that on the dark web, you know, where you'll have like a evil LLM kind of thing. But I think you see a lot of it on Telegram. But Kirby, what do you think about that question?
Okay, so hold up. We're getting a lot of conversations kind of crossing here when we have these comments. So the first thing I want to say is marketing the tools, AI tools internally as productivity tools. Yes, okay, so I get what you're saying now. So instead of them saying, hey, I got a scam tool for you, they're in their community, maybe even out on X or, you know, on Facebook or whatever, but their friends are scammers too. And they say, hey, look at this productivity tool. It does awesome, whatever. And so the other people in their community are like, oh, I see what you're using it for, because this is what I would use it for. Is that what you mean, more like, kind of? And now Andrea's answering Najib. And so she's answering about the personality training model, right? For the deepfakes. So like a griefbot level of data. So, and she's saying that was from the deepfake Facebook.
Yep. Yeah. And by the way, I'm gonna call out Andrea positively, and hopefully I don't embarrass her, but she actually was a guest on one of our earlier OSINT IRLs, and she has made an absolutely amazing open source project where she has got AI LLMs to talk to each other, where they're actually having conversations with each other, and she said
the group bots tend to be or no, okay, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the scammers do, and the grief bots do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's an excellent resource on AI issues. So let's see, and then we have another comment from
Najib Austin. If you have licenses, very good. Okay, we will look into that. I'm not familiar, but
okay. So all right, so now we're going to move to attribution and.
We're wrapping up. We got to wrap up.
Oh, we're out of time. We didn't even get to the other section. We were going to talk about attribution and identity resolution.
That's fine. Let's go ahead and let's do your AI slap of the week, and then after our slap of the week, we actually have a little exit video now, so you see how I'm getting a little bit better at this.
Okay,
micro better.
All right, so I'm going to share the screen for the AI slap.
Mm-hmm.
And today we have caterpillar cats.
And AI slap is just our section of random crazy AI stuff.
Какие же вы малыши. Иди ко мне. Не бойся. Ах ты пушистик. Такой мягкий. Ты мурчишь? Хи-хи.
Ну ты посмотри, какая красота. Спокойно. Тебе нравится, да? Мягкий какой. Опа! Ай, черт! С ума сошли, отпустите!
Thank you to our sponsors. Osmosis Association, OSINT Cocktail, Paraben Corp, and Forensic OSINT. Plesses.net powering off.